July 17th, and I am doing this video because I want to talk about whether a witch should care about what other people think. Now, we have witches who are in the broom closet because they're really worried about what other people would think of them, and that's why they stay in the broom closet. And others who decided, fuck it, I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna do it. Just who cares what anybody thinks, right? So I wanted to talk about this because, one, it could be very tricky. Two, how do you know whether you need to stand up for yourself and be, bitchy, and stand up for your rights, and what that entails, and how do you know when you need to be reserved and not step on any toes? And it's really a fine line because it depends on the situation and it depends on you, the individual. Where are you at with your ego and with your self-love and self-esteem? Because all of that comes into play. All right, so let's get into this. And I'm going to say some things that'll probably step on some toes. I'm good at that sometimes. But I want you to hear me out to the end to get a bigger picture or a better picture of what I'm trying to say. All right. There are a lot of people today, and many of them, witches, I'm looking at my notes here, and so they want to overcome their fear of what other people think, and that's noble. That is healthy. That is something we all need to look at and grow. This fear really comes from back in the good old days when we lived in tribes, groups of people, and we worked together to have enough food, to take care of the children, and to have a safe place to live, safe from the elements, safe from animals, from other humans, and so on. So we work together in tribes because it's safer that way. You're better able to survive that way. If you were on your own, you would have to hunt the buffalo by yourself. That ain't easy. We group together in order to work together to make things easier and to make sure we survive and live comfortably, at least. When you upset the tribe, for whatever reason, whatever the reason is, you run the risk of being kicked out and having to survive on your own, having to take care of yourself without the help of the rest of the tribe. If you're in the tribe, you're going to be careful what you say and what you do because you want that security. So think about it today. You've got a job, so you have a boss, you have coworkers who could make your life miserable if they wanted to, and you've got family who could support you if needed. Whenever, if you needed help in some way, they would be able to step in. And you have your friends, and of course acquaintances, co-workers and all that. So we tend to be careful and hold back because expressing ourselves, we're afraid that they will no longer support us. And then we would be like back in the good old days, on our own to survive. And so we see the importance and we see the value of being accepted by other people. So peer pressure in school, if you remember that, wow, that is all about conforming to what the tribe wants everybody to be. And a lot of that has to do with comfort. Somebody who's different upsets the comfort level of the people around them. Her, him. And so people will lash out because it is making them uncomfortable to be around somebody so different. And this is what we've seen for many years, that with homosexuals, with pagans, with people who don't express themselves the way everybody else in school is expressing themselves. Somebody who's shy, reserved, and doesn't get along with people, doesn't know how to socialize, they get ostracized, they get made fun of because they're not blending in with the rest of the group, and so they get attacked. And It's bullying, basically. And we see a lot of that in school. Now, we do see some of that after school, especially when there's a presidential election coming up. Good gravy. It's better so far this time around, but you know, we still have 2020 to go through. And hopefully people have calmed down and not quite so hateful. Bottom line, are you responsible for what other people think? Do you need to tiptoe around other people because you don't want to upset them, or because upsetting them is a bad thing, or an immoral thing? And I'm going to do a video on morals, because I think we need to recognize where morals come from and what they mean and what they're all about. So I'm going to do that in another video. But let me give you an example. And again, hear me out, because you might respond negatively. And that's okay. If you do, I'm okay with that. I want you to express yourself. I don't want you to hold back. And I think a lot of people hold back and hold things in because they're afraid of what other people think, and that needs to be dealt with. And that comes from nurturing your own emotional needs, or comes from a lack of nurturing your emotional needs, and not processing your emotions. And those two things will boost your confidence enough to stand up for yourself, so when you need to, that energy is there. Okay, let me give you an example here. Say you're in a situation in your job and you have a boss that's he's got a very sensitive ego, okay? And so you come up with a really good idea and you want to roll that idea out, but it has to go through your boss. And what you're afraid of is that it might upset him because it wasn't his idea, or it might, your boss might see it as making him look bad because you came up with this great idea and he didn't, or she didn't, whichever. We understand the gender thing, okay? So your boss might, you know that your boss might feel that he's being shown up. I'll put it that way. So I would say, for me in that situation, I would be sensitive to my boss's feelings, and just be more cognizant of how I present an opinion or idea to the boss, because I want to be cognizant of where the boss is at as far as his ego. And I want to get along with him because kind of like getting the money so I can pay my bills. But at the same time, do I need to protect my boundaries with this boss? It all really, really does depend on the situation. Okay, so you might think, well, F that mofo. I'm going to do it anyway. Who cares what he thinks, right? You think that's strength. You think that's confidence. And so you do it out of what you think is strength and confidence, and really what it is your childlike ego defenses getting into the control seat and making you think you need to be ugly, nasty, whatever it takes to stand up to this guy, to your boss. And I want you to understand that you can choose to take a more compassionate route. And you might feel threatened by this boss because you have low self-esteem. You have low self-confidence. So you are responding out of that place. So what do you do? Okay, well, let me finish out this thought real quick. So say somebody shares some information with me that is, they don't say it's private and don't say anything to other people, but I know they're sharing some confidential information that is, some people might think is dumb. Some people might think is embarrassing. Some people might think is just silly. And I could go run to my friends and, you see this person over here, they're so dumb, they do this, and you see what they're wearing, and you know, so I do this gossiping thing, and I could do that, but Why? Why am I doing that? It's to boost my ego, to make me feel valuable, look better than them. But instead, what I prefer to do, and I do this constantly, and I have to remind myself because it's so easy to go, can you believe this coworker? Can you believe he did this? He's so dumb. And doing that actually can build camaraderie with your friends and draw you closer together to attack another person who's outside your group. So it's a weird kind of psychological phenomenon that that people do because they want to feel closer to their friends. But I try not to. I try to remember, be compassionate. This person made a mistake that makes them look really stupid, and I could tell people about it, other coworkers about it, or other friends about it. But why? What is that going to do for me? Is that just boosting my ego? And what is that going to do for them? So I feel like I'm protecting what other people think about that other person by not sharing that embarrassing information. So that's where I'm at. So what do you do about this? How do you know the difference? When you are in the present moment, when you are in spirit, you feel good. You don't feel like you have to do anything. Nobody has to do anything to make you feel happy. Nobody has to behave a certain way so you feel comfortable. You are nurturing your own emotional needs. You're not looking for other people to nurture your needs. You are processing your emotions so you know the truth of what's really happening. And when you do those two things, then you can see the truth of what's happening. And then you can see whether you're in your ego or not. If you're in your ego, you don't feel good. Bottom line, you don't feel good. You feel anger, you feel hurt, you feel frustrated, you feel all sorts of different uncomfortable emotions or feelings, and you want to act on them, on that as a result of feeling uncomfortable or feeling bad. You want to act out, or some people act in, and whatever your response is, if you're not feeling good, it's not good. It's not going to be in your best interest. All right? So you process your emotions. You do the breathing. So you basically, first step, you list all of the emotions that you're feeling. How intense are each one of them? Then you do the breathing. And exhale. Hold it out just for a few seconds. You don't have to empty your lungs. That can be very, very uncomfortable. But just hold it out and just feel that lightness. It feels really, really good. And then check the intensity of all those emotions. You might have to do that 3-4 more times, or you might have to do some exercising, some meditating, some yoga, or something like that, and then come back and check the intensity. You basically, the breathing usually gets people, all my students usually get down to a 1 or a 2, and then you can move on. Then you can really see clearly what's going on, what is really truly happening. Okay? So when you're in spirit, you may feel like you no longer have to stand up for yourself anymore, because you realize that the other person is in their ego and they're just emotionally vomiting all over the place. That can happen. They're trying to get their emotions out. They don't know how to process their emotions, so they're projecting out, trying to get rid of them, trying to process them. When you do confront a person about, you want to be in spirit if you feel the need to confront another person, especially about protecting your boundaries. And this is usually if somebody's egregious, if they're really overstepping my boundaries, then I need to stand up to them and basically make sure I'm in spirit. Because if I'm in ego and that's not going to do anybody any good. But if I'm in spirit and I say, hey, look, can you do me a favor? Can you check how you're talking to me? Because it feels like you're angry with me, or that you are looking down to me. And I need you to change that. If we're going to work together, I need to change how you approach me, because it's not proper. It's not healthy. And then I can stay in spirit and not blow up in a tyrant, as a tyrant, blow up into a tirade. Because that's not going to get you where you want to be. Now, I know a lot of people think you have to be an asshole to stand up for your rights, to be heard, but I want to encourage you that it's the people who are in spirit, who confront you where you're at, or are political leaders, or wherever, somebody who believes something that's harmful to our society, and you stand up to them and say, you know what, maybe you need to rethink that. Maybe you should look at some opinions and some articles that are outside that box that you're in, and that might be to, when you say something like that, you're actually, it comes across as you're attacking them. So just make suggestions. Maybe ask them, maybe you should look into some opinions that are outside the field that you're so comfortable in, and maybe you can see what other people are seeing. And when you do it like that, and you're calm, even if they respond and blow up and respond with their childlike ego defenses, if you stay calm, it helps them calm down. And the more you interact in spirit with that other person, the more they will calm down and they will be more receptive. And even acknowledging, hey, this is really disturbing to you. I recognize that. It's something you really believe in and you're passionate about. Saying something like that helps them, the other person, realize you're listening, you're paying attention. A lot of times children will scream, yell, run around, and act crazy because nobody's paying attention to them. And they are craving that attention. They need somebody to communicate, interact with them. Well, adults do the same thing. Adults will do the same thing. So they will bully others because of what's going on inside of them. And they don't know how to deal with it. They need somebody who's calm and relaxed that will listen to them, because they don't feel like they're being heard. And I think that's what's happening with this president and our politics here in the U.S. And we're have a presidential election next year, so everybody's losing their minds. Everybody and their grandpa has thrown their hat in the ring. What is it? Over 20 people now who are running for president. So it could get interesting, and I would encourage you to make sure you're in spirit in the present moment when you deal with anyone who is politically passionate and maybe radicalized even in their beliefs, their political beliefs, to help them calm back down and help them know that people are listening and people are able to make a difference without wearing an ass hat. You don't have to wear your ass hat, people. You can take it off and be respectful. Okay, so hating other people, bullying them, is not going to make the world a better place. Somebody told me that. I'm just being this way because I want to make the world a better place. Well, it's bullying. You're calling people names. You're being ugly. I don't want to live in that world. It's like using violence to end violence. Using war to create peace. It doesn't really make sense. So if you, what's Gandhi quote, be the change you want to see in the world. So if you want the world to be a better place, be better. If you want the world to be peaceful, live in peace. Be compassionate. If you want more compassion in the world, be more compassionate. And that will spread. People feel that and they like that. Hey, that feels good. And they want to be more like that. Okay, here's the bottom line. The more you are compassionate and the more you nurture your emotional needs and process your emotions, the less you're going to feel the need to combat other people who believe differently than you. You will feel more compassion for other people, as well as your love for yourself, and that grows together. You love other people as you love yourself. So the more you can be loving towards yourself, then you start overflowing, and you can that overflow goes out to other people. So I want to encourage you to nurture your own emotional needs, which is self-talk. It's building yourself up through your self-talk. And process your emotions. Write down your emotions. How intense are they? Breathe. Do the breathing. And hold it out. And you'll feel lightheadedness, and that's what you want, because you really want to focus in on feeling light. Do those two things, and that will help you heal better than anything else. That is over half the battle of growth and healing is the emotions and being in the present moment. So I hope this helps you, and thank you for watching, and I hope you are inspired, and that's my goal, to inspire you. So I'm going to let you go, and thank you for leaving me comments. They are wonderful. They help me see where you're at, and I want to make sure that I'm inspiring you and making good videos. All right, so feedback is very, very important to me. Okay, so I'm going to let you go for now, and have a blessed day, and I will talk to you next time. Love you guys. Bye.